Hello all of you beautiful, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jamie, and today we are talking about House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. Okay, House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. This is a September 2022 release, and it is classified as horror or gothic horror. As a quick overview of what this follows our protagonist, Marion, who is a young woman living in the poorer parts of basically a provincial English-esque town. It's not actually England, but it's like an English or European akin kind of city. The country, the place is like really not that important, but it is, 19th century Victorian, quasi-Victorian Gothic setting. So Marion is looking for a way to get out of her life. She's looking to get out of poverty, and an interesting opportunity arises. She sees an advertisement to become what is called a blood maiden, and in this world, blood, especially that of young females, has magical properties, and so the noble houses of this world all partake in drinking the blood of the blood maidens. So when Marion follows up on the application, she has her blood tasted by a taster, and he tells her that her blood is some of the finest that he has ever tasted, and that she belongs at the highest of houses, which is the House of Hunger. Marion is then taken to the House of Hunger, where she will serve the Countess Elizabeth, and it becomes very clear very quickly that Elizabeth has taken a very keen liking to Marion. What follows is a complicated, dark spiral that intertwines romance and a very sinister secret. House of Hunger is a gothic, sapphic, vampire horror romance. It's not exactly, they're not actually vampires, but they may as well be. There is a lot of blood and drinking of people's blood, and typical of vampire stories, it is also pretty erotic. It's very sexy. All of the kind of thematic elements that go into like a vampire story, like the mixing of pain and pleasure and eternal love and destiny and fate and all of these things that are being intertwined into this story. And it's really kind of over the top. At times I would even say it's like a little bit campy because it's overly indulgent in kind of every sense of the word. Everything is really done in excess. The description of the house being covered in red walls and candelabras and dark passageways, and then the descriptions of food and like drinking of the wine, and everything is just very, very excessive and just hedonistic, but in this very indulgent way that almost feels a little bit cozy in a way. But of course, this is a horror story, so there is an underlying kind of tension of in the midst of this place that is so perfect, there is something dark. And it's obviously very intentional the way that Alexis Henderson is writing this. Blood being such an important feature in the book, it is mentioned, I swear to you, almost every single sentence. Everything is described in reference to blood. Blood is mentioned near constantly, which again kind of gives into this kind of campy vibe of it. This was really easy to get through. You're constantly wanting to keep reading to find out the answers, and so I felt that it had a really good pace. I felt that it was just enough of the description of the indulgence of the setting, but also it kept things moving with the pace of the plot. I did enjoy this, and I did have a lot of fun once I kind of just let myself be overtaken by the camp gothic horror vibes. Then I just really let myself run with the story. Some things that I did have a couple criticisms of, though, is that I felt that there were parts of the story that were not very fleshed out. Everything comes to a head pretty quickly. The ending I feel like is a bit rushed. And there are just so many ideas in here that I really would have preferred to have been explored a little bit deeper. There's not, I mean, this doesn't go that deep into many of the big ideas. This is just like a bloody, fun, sapphic romance horror story. It's not really going super deep into some of the ideas. And then there's a couple scenes that I either wish would have been reworked to be more kind of meaningful to the story, or just cut out completely or replaced with something else. Because I feel like they were kernels of ideas, like, oh, this would be a fun moment, but it didn't get kind of actually written. And so then I was kind of like, what was the point of having this scene? In general, I mean, it is a short book, and I do like a short book. I'm glad that it didn't, overstay its welcome, but I do feel like there's a couple places that if the concepts would have been fleshed out, this could have been like a really phenomenal, like, knock it out of the park. I still had a good time. I would give this a 3.75 out of 5 stars. So I did still enjoy this. I just felt, a couple more rounds of fleshing out some of these scenes really would have given this the substance that I felt like it needed to be pushed into the 4 to 5 star range. For what it is, I think this was really fun. I think that there's a lot of people who would really like this. It does focus a lot on the relationship between Marion and Elizabeth and the good and bad that comes with that. And just, it is a really, like I said, like, it's just a really delicious, indulgent, gothic horror story. Like, it has its horror moments, but it's not super scary. I wouldn't say it's very tense either. It has some moments of mystery, but it wasn't scary. There is a lot of blood, and there is a couple moments where things get a little bit gruesome, but it's not the majority of the book. The real, like, where the majority of the book spends its time is between Marion and Elizabeth. And so that's why I would say that this is almost more of a romance than it is a horror story. It's sexy, it's bloody, it's horror, it's romance, it's a fun time if any of those things sound interesting to you. This was a fun read. I'm glad I got my hands on it early, and I cannot wait to see what everybody else thinks of this. I'm excited to read more of Alexis Henderson in the future. I have not read anything else by her, so I will be definitely picking her up again. If you're in the mood for some gothic horror with a dash of romance, I think this is a great one to pick up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below if you have read House of Hunger. What did you think? And if you haven't, are you going to pick it up? Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful, amazing day.